Feedback processes, evaluation cycles, up or out principle. Working in consulting can be tough, it can be a challenge, and there is for sure lots of pressure also attached to it. And a big part of that are the constant evaluation processes. Every half a year, sometimes even every quarter, you will get a formal evaluation where your performance is being assessed, where you will be looked at and people will ask themselves, well, this consultant, Heinrich or whatever your name is, how did this person perform? Welcome to another coffee break here on my channel Firm Learning. My name is Heinrich and on Firm Learning I want to help you to become successful in the first years of your career. And today we're going to talk about the evaluation processes for consultants. And specifically, I will share with you how consultants are evaluated. What are the criteria that are being applied if your performance as a consultant is assessed. And of course, it's important to understand that these processes always differ slightly firm by firm. But in my experience, also when talking to other friends working in other firms, I just know that it really comes down to three key criteria that pretty much all firms are using. So in today's video, I will explain to you what these three criteria are, what you can do to be rated well, to be assessed well in these three criteria, and also to talk about how the performance of a good consultant differs from the performance of a great consultant. So what you can do to go from good to great. Let's start by talking about the first of three key dimensions that are used by most firms to evaluate your performance as a consultant. And these are your analytical abilities. What does this exactly mean though? What is measured here? This means how good you are at structuring problems, at solving problems, at working with data, getting insights from data. This is all what's in here. And especially for junior consultants, this often means working in Excel, right? So crunching numbers in Excel, working with spreadsheets, getting insights out of data, but then also your contribution in team problem-solving sessions. So if you're sitting together with your team, maybe your partner is flying in with your project lead, with other team colleagues, and you're debating a problem from your work, from the project. How well are you to contribute to that? How much of a value add are you to solve the problems at hand that the team is facing? All of this is part of your analytical abilities, and all of this will be measured in this regard. So let's now talk about how a good consultant distinguishes him or herself from a great consultant in regards to these analytical abilities. So a good consultant is doing well what he or she is being told. So you might sit together with a project lead, the project lead provides you a data set and the project lead asks you to conduct an analysis based on this data set. So a good consultant would do exactly that, would prepare a clean and nice analysis, would crunch the numbers, get to a result. But the great consultant would go one step further. The great consultant in the middle of the analysis might realize that the actual question at hand cannot really be answered by these numbers that are included in the dataset. This great consultant would realize that probably he or she would need some other data inputs to really get to a great conclusion. So instead of now just completing this analysis because this is what the project lead told him or herself, the great consultant would go out, potentially talk to another client, get this data that would actually be needed, then integrate it in the analysis, and then just prepare the good final result that then really also answers the question at hand. The second evaluation criterion I want to talk about are your team abilities. So what exactly does this mean, team abilities? Well, this is how well you contribute to the overall success of a team. Are you just the lonely wolf, just working for yourself, or are you actually a team player, also supporting other people, supporting the team? And your one question always is to what extent you really contribute to a positive and inclusive atmosphere in the team room. Sometimes things can be tough, your team might struggle with a difficult client, maybe you need to work late for several days in a row, and all these things can really take a toll on team morale. Are you then the person who always complains, adds to all this negativity, draws everybody down? Or are you the person who, despite difficult circumstances, is able to increase the team morale, to contribute, to create and add to an overall positive atmosphere? This is always a key question that also I like to use when evaluating teammates on this criterion. But then it's also about other things, how you communicate, how you work together with your teammates. So if you get some tasks from your project lead, are you reliable? Can you be trusted that you get that done, that you really will do your very, very best to complete the task as you've been asked? Or maybe you see your teammate is struggling with something. Are you taking the time to sit together with a teammate? Maybe it's a teammate which is a bit more junior than you. Maybe it's an intern. Are you taking the time to help that intern, to develop that intern? All of these are qualities which are looked at and which are considered when making this decision. So again, let's talk about what distinguishes a good consultant from a great consultant when we talk about these team abilities. A good consultant in this regard is reliable. He or she would get all the things done that then the project lead asks that consultant to do. And if indeed the project lead would ask that consultant to potentially also pick up some tasks from another colleague, even though these tasks are not necessarily part of your work stream that you're responsible for, then you would happily do that as a good consultant. The great consultant would go one step further. So let's think back about the situation where maybe things are a bit tough, team morale is down, things are a bit difficult at the moment. The great consultant would take initiative, would ask him or herself, what can I really do personally to contribute to that? And here one of the things that this great consultant then could do is to suggest to do a team event. And this great consultant could then even research potential things that could be done close to the office location, could organize it all, book it into the calendars, and make sure that everybody is having a good time. These things are always great because of course it's difficult to do this on top of all your other duties. Also for the project lead, doing things like that, organizing things like that on top of everything else can be quite a burden. So everybody will be super happy if you're taking care of this. And of course, if you do this proactively, just taking the initiative, organizing this will always be considered to be a great team player, just great contributing to the overall team atmosphere. The third evaluation criterion are your client abilities. So how well are you to work with and interact with your clients? And this can take all kinds of forms. For sure, your ability to lead client meetings, to lead interviews with clients, to communicate things well to clients will play a role. Here also often your abilities to create written documents that are then presented in front of clients, that are shown in front of clients, goes into that as well. But here also your overall ability to build a trust-based relationship, but the extent to which the client really wants to work with you because the client sees you as a trusted advisor with whom he or she would love to talk to, use you as a sparrings partner, get some feedback from you on ideas on all kinds of topics that the client is currently working on. And trust me, as a project lead, you notice that. You notice if a client just randomly walks into your team room and wants to talk to some of your consultants because the client really enjoys talking to that person, just would love to get an opinion on that person. And here for sure, a good junior consultant would be able to build a great working relationship with the consultant where you can in an effective way work together, exchange some ideas, iterate on some documents, really work on an end product together. But the great consultant would go one step further. So not only is this consulting using the client to get some information, to get some data, but the consultant would really want to build a relationship with the client, a relationship where both parties benefit, a relationship where potentially even after the end of the project, both of you will stay in touch, because especially when you then get more and more senior, these relationships are for sure insanely important, because these relationships are the starting position of new projects, of new client discussions, where then potentially follow-on projects might evolve on in the future. And here one tip that I got from a project lead I worked with in one of my first projects was that on every single project you should try to pick at least one person, at least one client with whom you really enjoy working, and then try to build a friendship with this client. Try to stay in contact, write to this client every 6 months or so, stay in contact with this person, just to build also your professional network. Because maybe this client at the time when you work with this person isn't even that senior, isn't even that important in the client organization. But in the same way that you progress throughout your career, the same way often then clients are progressing through their career as well. So a junior client who is junior today, maybe in 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years once you are partner, is a pretty important, pretty senior client indeed. And if you start building your professional network like this early on, chances are pretty high that besides all the other benefits that you of course also have by gaining a valuable contact, by expanding your network, chances are high that then this will really benefit you also in the long-term goal of potentially acquiring new projects for your firm. I'd love to hear from you now. What is your experience with evaluation processes? So if you have any tips you'd like to share, just write a comment below in the comment section. And as you know, I do my very best to answer every single comment that you write. If you took any value out of this video at all, please hit the like button for the YouTube algorithm and also subscribe to this channel to stay up to date on all my content. I also started to become more active on both Twitch and TikTok. So check that out as well. There's a link to that in the video description. I'd also like to give a shout out to all the members members of From Learning, thanks so much for your support. And if you want to continue your learning journey, I suggest you check out the video on the up or out principle, which is very closely related to everything we just discussed today. So I'll link it somewhere above here. Check it out to learn more about this. My name is Heinrich. I'm the creator of From Learning. I release new videos every single week here on my channel. So see you again next Saturday. Good weekend to all of you and bye bye.